Herpes could never. Herpes could never break me, could never again make me feel less of. Herpes can't take my sexy away from me. Herpes does not take my worth away. Herpes does not devalue me. Herpes can...
But, you know, you and I know this, but conveying that message is...
Yeah. I think a lot of people have a hard time. They project their experience with catching the virus unknowingly, like not by choice, on the person that they're going to be with. And I feel like you need to understand that if you're disclosing your status, you're giving your partner a choice.
Consent.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if they were to find out they have herpes, their experience with finding out they have herpes is going to be completely and totally different from your experience when you found out you have herpes.
Yep.
So don't project your experience onto your partner and then create this whole scenario in your head on how they're going to feel or what's going to happen to them if they were to find out they had herpes through how you got it or through what your experience was. It's not going to be the same. You can't even think what their experience is going to be because they made a choice to be with you, meaning they probably made a choice to research, to learn about it, just to do so much more things than what you did when you found out you had herpes.
There was a guy who sent me a message and he's like, I don't know what to do. This girl I really like, she's got herpes. And I'm like, how old are you? And he was like, I just turned 30. I'm like, you know that herpes is pretty much everywhere, right? He's like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, 70 to 80% of people on the planet have herpes simplex. He's like, what? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I've never been tested. He says, well, the chances are pretty high that you already have at least type 1. You may even have type 2. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I says, well, what do you think the chances are? I mean, how many dates do you go on? He goes, the last 10 years I've been going crazy. And I'm like, okay, going crazy, what does that mean? Does that mean having sex or does that mean just dating? He's like, well, isn't that the same thing? And I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. I says, are you sucking? Like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's been going on. I says, so you have been exposing yourself to other people and partners, which is fine. I'm not judging, for the last 10 years. He says, what do you think the chances of you having herpes are? He's like, I guess they're kind of high. I'm like, yeah, they're a little high. I says, plus almost everybody on the planet has it. He goes, I says, how much do you like this girl? He goes, I like her a lot. I says, well, there's a couple things you can do. Number one, you can go get tested. However, the test results may vary because the test for herpes is kind of crappy. And I sent him a link. And I says, read this later. Don't read it now, read it later. And I says, what does she have? He goes, well, she's got cold sores. And I says, did you already make out with her? He goes, yeah. I says, well, if you like her and you're already making out with her, there's nothing really more to talk about. Just go be with her. I says, because if you're not with her, he goes, what if it doesn't work out? I'm like, what if you get hit by a fucking bus? What are you going to do? Are you going to live your life in fear? Like, listen, let's say you're with her for a year and it doesn't work out and you go meet somebody new. Well, and you start dating again like you did for the last 10 years. You're going to end up with it. It's just going to happen. Now, if we're being honest, we don't know, do you have, are you immunocompromised? I think that's an important part of the conversation in understanding both sides of the coin. Yes, it's everywhere. Yes, your chances of getting it 90% of people by the time they reach the age of 50 have herpes. It's just that simple. Now, I do think that the conversation will change when you're talking to somebody who is immunocompromised. So if you're dating someone who's immunocompromised, they have diabetes, they have lupus, they have something that can allow them to succumb to symptoms more often than other people, then that's a very different conversation that needs to be taking place. And it needs to be a very honest conversation, because if you plan on being with this person and you have an autoimmune issue, you're going through cancer, you're going through whatever, there's a good chance that you may suffer from frequent symptoms. You may not, but there's a good portion of that may happen. So I think that is a very high important conversation. If you're dating somebody who is immunocompromised or does have an autoimmune issue, yes, you need to have that conversation, and they both need to be honest about it. But for the most part, your chances of getting it by the time you reach the age of 50 are very high. Even kissing your friends hello. Look at Grandma. Grandma comes over at Thanksgiving. She's got that big old mustache, and she's trying to hide her cold sore underneath that bright red lipstick, and she's walking around kissing everybody hello. Yeah. Well, that's why she just gave herpes to everybody in the family. Congratulations.
Let's think about children.
Yes. More than likely, children get herpes from grandparents.
Or from other children.
Or from other children.
From grandparents.
Yes. Yeah, you got it from Nana. Congratulations. You were making out with Nana. Think about that for a while.
Yo, like, come on, y'all. It's so funny. You know what me and Amber do when we're together? We're walking around the street and we're like trying to guess who. I bet you they got herpes. Oh, they definitely got herpes. We just walking down the street pointing at everyone that we think got herpes.
See, guys will play a little bit of a different game. They'll be like, I wonder if she can fit her knees behind her head.
Not me and Amber. We playing the herpes game. We're like
we do
everyone with herpes.
Yep. And you're like, oh, I bet you she likes to make out. She's got herpes.
Oh, they're old. You know they got herpes. That's an old couple.
Yep. Oh, grandma. Oh, look at grandma and grandpa holding hands. They got herpes.
They definitely got herpes. Look.
That's hysterical. I gotta come down and see you girls, and we gotta do some videos.
All day. The one time we did it with the flag. We were holding the flag up, walking down the street, and we're like,
I saw that. That was hilarious.
Big ass herpes flag.
I have a shirt that says ask me anything about herpes, and I totally forgot I had it on, and I went into a restaurant to eat, and it was the funniest thing. People were walking in, like they're walking in, they're like do 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 do. And then they walk away, and I'm like, are they looking at my food? Is there something on my shirt? I'm like, is there something on my? Oh shit! I'm wearing the shirt. That's hilarious.
That happened to me at the airport. I had the herpes positive, shame negative shirt, and for some reason, everyone kept staring at me. So I catch myself doing the stare back face, like the "Would you stare at me?" And I'm like. Then I finally looked down. I'm like, oh shit! I'm gonna give everybody the "what you staring at" face, and I got this shirt on.
That's hysterical. I had a friend of mine. She was very good looking, and she was getting tired of guys staring at her, and she did the funniest thing. She literally would just be sitting there, and she would catch them staring, and she would be like. And she would just make this face and like start walking towards them, making that face. I died like every time she did it because she did the way that she did it. She like turned her face inside out and it made her look horrendous. And it was the funniest thing ever. You got to start doing, but you did that, but you forgot you had the shirt on. So people are like, oh my God. That's hysterical. You're like, damn it, I got the shirt on. Why did I do that?
God, I got the shirt on today.
Yeah, I got to come down. We got to make some videos or something.
Yes, I'm here for it. Amber should be here hopefully next month.